When should you value facts over feelings? I recently rewatched Old Yeller. It was originally released in 1957. I hadn't seen that movie since I was a kid. It's a gut-wrenching movie to watch. I cried at the end. I'm not sure who could watch that movie and not cry. If you're not familiar with Old Yeller, it's about a boy that adopts a dog. They grow very close, with Old Yeller actually saving the boy's life at one point. Later, Old Yeller is bit by a wolf and gets rabies. The young boy has to put down his beloved dog before it turns on him and his family. This setting is the Old West. There's no vet available to peacefully put your pup to sleep at that time. I don't think I need to explain what a young boy had to do in the Old West to put down his rabid dog. It's a tough movie to watch. It's a kid's movie. It was meant for kids to watch. And importantly, to learn that sometimes doing the right thing is difficult, gut-wrenchingly difficult. Sometimes protecting your family requires you to make some very difficult decisions. Doing the right thing sometimes is ridiculously difficult. It will feel wrong. But from a factual perspective, there's really no decision to be made. The right decision is easy to make. It's easy to determine. It's just very challenging to carry out. Modern parents are so wrapped up in the concept of protecting their kids' feelings, so concerned with protecting them from scary things, that they're not preparing them for when those kids will have to deal with scary things. Exposing your kids to the kind of emotional roller coaster that is the movie Old Yeller in your home with you in a safe environment, it's critically necessary to help prepare them for the emotional roller coasters they will be forced to ride many times as an adult. Raising an independent, confident, good decision maker requires you, as a parent, to make the conscious decision and the conscious effort to prepare your son and daughter for life as an adult. And as you now realize, because you are an adult, sometimes life as an adult is very challenging. And preparing your kids for those challenges is really the essence of being a parent. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Your child is unique. At what age might you as a parent consider sitting down and watching Old Yeller with your child? I don't know. Only you know when your child might be ready to watch something like that. Now, I'll give you a personal example of when my wife and I had to deal with something very similar to that situation, watching Old Yeller, and what we did about it. Our son was in the 4th or 5th grade. I can't remember exactly what year it was, but he came home with a permission slip. We had to sign it to allow him to watch a movie. Actually, not the whole movie, but enough of it to understand the issues presented by that movie. What was the movie? It was actually a miniseries. It was Roots. That's a tough movie to watch. I think it's an important movie to watch to understand just how terribly slaves were treated at that time. Our past, the United States, good and bad, should not be forgotten. It should not be ignored. I studied the Civil War and the period of slavery in this country when I was in school. I learned all about the abomination that was slavery. I've seen many movies and videos. In law school, there are many cases that deal with the injustices done to black people. Learning that stuff, being exposed to it, is important. So let me swing back to my son now and him giving me a permission slip to watch Roots. My wife and I talked about it, and we both decided he wasn't ready. We agreed that he needed to watch that movie eventually, and it's an important historical period in U.S. history that everyone in the U.S. should understand, everyone should be exposed to. But as parents, it was our job to determine when was the appropriate time for our son to see that, to watch Roots. At that time, he wasn't ready. Girls generally mature faster than boys, and our son was a classic little boy, immature in so many ways, and a complete knucklehead to boot. We didn't believe he was capable of processing that movie at that time. what it was about, why it was important for him to see. When the movie was shown in his class, he and a couple of his classmates were brought to a different room. Now, yes, he did still learn about slavery. There was a whole unit that school year to learn about that time period. The showing of parts of that miniseries was just part of the lesson. But seeing the violence and degradation of human beings in that film, my wife and I believed was too much for our son. Words and concepts are one thing, but watching the stuff shown in that miniseries, we felt that it would not help him understand those concepts, only upset him too much at too young an age. Eventually, we made sure he watched Roots. I don't think he saw the entire series. It's a total of 6 hours. But when we, as his parents, felt he was ready to see it, we watched sections of it with him. And here's the most important thing. We got to watch it with him and discuss it to make sure he understood the what, the why, the how. When we guessed he was ready to see it, we did it in a safe, controlled environment. Now, back to Old Yeller. I shudder to think of today's generations, today's kids, and how they would react to watching Old Yeller. Should the kids of today watch Old Yeller? Absolutely. I think it's important. The issues and concepts that movie deals with are important for kids to be exposed to learn about, to think about. The decision young Tommy has to make in that movie, the challenge of that decision, how difficult it was for him to make, are important to think about. Your son or daughter will have to make very difficult decisions in their life as an adult. I can't think of a single legitimate reason why you, as a parent, would avoid teaching your son or daughter that lesson. Why would you want to avoid exposing your kids to the concept that life is full of difficult decisions? I hope your son or daughter, I hope my son, doesn't have to make such a horribly difficult decision like shooting his own dog to protect his family. Now, I'm pretty confident he's very unlikely to have to make that particular decision. But there are many others just as difficult that he will probably have to make. Now, here's another personal example of when my son had to deal with a difficult emotional issue and how to prioritize facts over feelings. Virtually every one of us has probably had to deal with breaking up with a boyfriend or girlfriend. My son's 2 breakups, they were not a "I don't really like you anymore" issue. That probably accounts for most of boyfriend-girlfriend breakups. His was a facts over feelings decision, and he's been on both sides of it. In high school, he dated a girl his senior year. It was a healthy relationship. They both very much liked spending time together. It was all good stuff. Right after graduation, she breaks up with him. Why? She was going to school in one part of the country, and he was going to a school many, many states away. Now, I know, so many graduating high school couples try the long distance thing, but it rarely ever works out. She made the right decision and broke it off because she understood that the long distance thing was destined to fail. I think she liked him. I'm guessing it was a bummer decision for her to have to make. But she put facts over feelings and did the right thing. Now, jump forward a couple of years. My son is dating a different girl who goes to the same school as him. He enjoys her company. He cares for her a great deal. But he knows that they will have to go their separate ways after graduation. I mean, they'll both be officers in the United States Air Force, and their training and careers will take them in completely different directions. It will not give either of them a time or a place to continue a relationship. Now, on top of a future where they'll definitely be far apart, my son is loving his time in Colorado. His winters are spent skiing all over the state, and he's not doing that. He's out camping and hiking all over the mountains. He loves the outdoors. All of those things are activities his girlfriend was not really into. So he basically spent little to no time with her on weekends. When those facts are evaluated, the decision was clear. It was simple. They should not be a committed couple. It was a tough decision for him, absolutely. He spoke to my wife several times, talking to her about it. But he ultimately made the right decision for both himself and his girlfriend. Facts over feelings. A lousy choice, but he knew what he should do, and he did it, regardless of how difficult it was for him. First, a girlfriend broke up with him for the right reasons. And the second time, he broke up with a different girlfriend for the right reasons. He never had girlfriend drama in high school or college. He valued facts over feelings and walked away from both young ladies with good memories and no real hard feelings. Old Yeller, roots, girlfriends. Let me tie this all together. Having to make choices, whether you're an adult or a child, where facts and feelings collide is difficult. When was the right time for my son to watch Roots? When the feelings he would experience from watching that didn't interfere with his ability to understand the facts about what he was seeing. Why did we want him to watch Old Yeller? We wanted him to start to understand that sometimes facts need to take precedence over your feelings in order to make the best decision. His girlfriend experiences, I'd like to think that he dealt with those so well because my wife and I put him in uncomfortable situations when he was young and properly prepared him to better deal with those situations. We got him to think about, be realistic about the situation he was in and to consider the facts without letting his feelings take over his decision-making process. Raising your own independent, confident, good decision maker. It won't help your son or daughter avoid the challenges they'll face in life, but it will help them be better prepared to deal with those situations and help them be better prepared to make the best decision. Thanks for listening.